Imagine a spy. No, not some character in a trench coat, but a spy that lives inside your internet connection. One that's silently watching, reading, and maybe even changing your most private conversations. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on this digital ghost, the man in the middle.
Come on, we've all been there, right? You're at a cafe, you desperately need to get online, and that free _cafe Wi-Fi network is just calling your name. So you connect, you check your email, maybe you even peek at your bank balance. But have you ever stopped to think, who else is on that network with you? Well, that convenience, it could come at a pretty steep price. Because on an open, unsecured network, you might not just be connecting to the internet. You could be connecting through someone else, a secret listener who has put themselves right in the middle of your digital life.
So, this is the work of a man-in-the-middle attack. But what does that actually mean? And how does this spy even get into your connection in the first place?
Honestly, it's one of the oldest tricks in the book, just brought into the digital age. A man-in-the-middle attack, or MITM for short, is exactly what it sounds like. An attacker secretly intercepts a conversation or data transfer and then just relays messages back and forth, making both people think they're talking directly to each other.
This slide here breaks it down perfectly. Over on the left, you've got a normal, direct connection. Alice talks to Bob. Simple. But look at the right. Our attacker, let's call her Mallory, has jumped right in the middle. Now, Alice thinks she's talking to Bob, but nope, she's really talking to Mallory. And Mallory just passes the message along to Bob. The scary part, Mallory now controls the entire conversation.
Okay, so that's the concept. But how does an attacker actually get into the middle of a private connection? It's not magic, you know. It's a pretty methodical two-step process of infiltration. A successful attack really happens in two phases. First, the attacker has to intercept your traffic. They have to get their hands on it. Then, phase two, they have to decrypt it, basically make sense of all the information they just stole. Let's start with that first part, interception.
For most of us, the biggest risk is right back where we started, public Wi-Fi. These open networks are the perfect hunting ground for an attacker. Why? Because everyone is connected to the same central point, which makes it so much easier for someone with bad intentions to trick your device.
So how do they trick your device? Well, one of the most common ways is something called ARP spoofing. The attacker gets on the same Wi-Fi network as you, then sends out a flood of fake messages. These messages basically scream at your phone or laptop, "Hey, I'm the router now, send all your internet traffic to me." And your device, it just believes it. Just like that, everything you send and receive now goes directly through the attacker's computer.
And ARP spoofing is just one tool in their kit. As you can see here, they can also use DNS spoofing to send you to a fake website. They can create a rogue access point. That's an evil twin Wi-Fi network that looks legit, or they can even strip away your encryption. What's really wild is that the tools to do this, like something called a Wi-Fi pineapple, are surprisingly easy to get, which has kind of democratized this whole style of hacking.
But hold on a second. I know what you're thinking. What about that little padlock icon in your browser? What about HTTPS? Isn't that supposed to keep us safe from this exact kind of thing? Well, yes and no.
This is where it gets a little chilling. That secure connection isn't foolproof. A determined attacker has ways to effectively strip that security away, downgrading your connection from, say, a secure vault to an open postcard that anyone can read.
It's called SSL stripping. Here's how it works. When you try to connect to your bank's secure HTTPS site, the attacker intercepts that request. They then go ahead and establish the secure connection with the bank themselves, but they force your browser into an unencrypted HTTP connection. You might not even notice the little padlock is gone, and everything you type, usernames, passwords, account numbers, is being sent in plain text for the attacker to just read.
So now we know how they get in and how they can even crack secure connections, but what's the end game here? What is the ultimate goal of this whole digital heist?
It really boils down to three main things. First and foremost, they want your credentials, every single login you type.
Next up, of course, they're after your financial information, credit card numbers, bank account details, anything they can possibly turn into cash. And finally, they want your secrets, your private emails, direct messages, sensitive business communications. If it's not properly encrypted, it is all visible to them. And you've got to remember, once an attacker is in the middle, they can do so much more than just listen. They can steal your passwords and session cookies to literally impersonate you online.
They can inject malware directly into the websites you're visiting, they can redirect you to phishing pages, or even modify what you're doing in real time. They have total control. Okay, that is enough of the scary stuff. Knowing about the threat is half the battle, for sure. But the other half is knowing how to fight back. So let's build your digital defense plan.
For all of us everyday users, the steps are actually pretty straightforward, but they're incredibly powerful. Rule number 1, if you are on public Wi-Fi, use a VPN. It creates an encrypted tunnel that a spy just can't break into. Also, always, and I mean always, look for that HTTPS and the little padlock. If your browser screams at you with a certificate warning, you need to listen to it. And finally, please, enable multi-factor authentication on every single account you can. Even if they steal your password, they still can't get in.
Now, for bigger organizations like businesses or schools, the defenses get a bit more robust. This means stronger authentication to even get on the network, and actively monitoring for suspicious activity, like that ARP spoofing we talked about. They can also use something called HTST, which basically tells browsers to only communicate securely, which helps block those nasty SSL stripping attacks we saw. It really is all about creating layers of defense.
So we end where we began. In our hyper-connected world, our data passes through countless hands and systems every single day. The real question isn't whether there's a middleman in your connection, it's whether you can trust them. Think about it.